Whether OnlyFans will last long?
16% of OnlyFans got sold. The deal is done.
No one really makes 100, 200, 300K anymore. Oh man, but my brand is this. And I was like, bro, you've got less followers than I do, and you've got like 1,000 followers, right? You don't have a brand. I don't really trust paid traffic. I don't trust anybody that sells it, quite frankly. That guy's clapping about it, so I'm right.
I'm Tim, this is Daniel, the head of BizDev department, and we have an invited expert, Steven from TYPA agency. This guy knows what he's doing, so he has an experience to share. He's not accepting this expertise representation, but he definitely knows.
Expertise is a strong word, okay.
All right, so thank you for being here. Let us tell you a little bit more about OnlyMonster. Generally, this is a software, right? So those of you who work with OnlyFans, you might have already heard about it. How many of you are here working with OnlyFans already? Okay, great, more than half. This is very nice. So CRM for OnlyFans, what does that even mean? That has additional extra features that OnlyFans doesn't have, and makes it everything way more secure and way more beneficial in terms of revenue. Right, Daniel?
Yeah, well, it's true. And actually today there is a special reason why there is three of us. We didn't tell Steven what is going to happen, so he didn't see our presentation. So it's like a pure imagination from our side, yeah? And we expect it to be just like a simple conversation with real understanding what is going on, because we are collaboration, let's say, we are providing a service, like a software, and we have a guy who really understands what is going on within the industry. And I guess it will be beneficial for all of you. So I guess we can start?
Absolutely. There is one interesting question that I want to start with. OnlyFans for sale? A month ago, when we sent this presentation, this is just a question that we wanted to throw into the audience to start this brainstorming, like have someone heard about that? But I assume that many of you already know what happened within this last month, right? Daniel, tell us what happened.
Yeah, like we were thinking about it, there were like some rumors about what will happen with OnlyFans in like coming months or even years. And a few weeks ago, there was a news that 16% were sold, right?
Exactly. 16% of OnlyFans got sold. The deal is done. Now, changes are coming. And we have to be prepared for that. So we have to think, what does that mean to this industry? What does it mean to web creators, agencies? How does that reshape the market? Steven, I know you didn't hear this question before. This is the first time I ask you. For real. So, what in your opinion, how does this reshape the market? Does it change something?
So, I mean, yeah, it definitely does. We already see the changes now today, right? So they're becoming more aggressive immediately on creator verification, right? It's the first thing they did. They've reshaped the way that they handle customer complaints and chargebacks. In fact, that's the first thing they did. So when the sale happened, right, like 3 days later, this new structure appeared, where like you get an email now, and it's like, this dude's complained because you haven't done the thing you said. But it's actually really good because the creator can fight it now. So you can actually communicate with them rather than just, this guy's done a chargeback, so screw you effectively, right? So yeah, they're changing it. They're changing it definitely on the money side, but they're definitely changing it. They're doing more compliance basically, right? The thing they should have been doing the whole time. But
right.
They're doing more compliance.
Indeed, they already implement certain changes. And I invite everyone to think, how can we be prepared for the change? How can we think on what else we might do apart from OnlyFans, just in case, just to diversify, right? We will be touching base on this topic a few more times today, but let me actually change the topic for a moment. There is one thing that usually comes up very quickly every single time I show OnlyMonster on demo calls, every time I start talking about tools, features, and all the benefits that OnlyMonster has, there is one specific reaction that also happens a lot. And that reaction is related to security. I wish I knew it earlier. I wouldn't have lost so much money. That is one of the main reasons why OnlyMonster was created in the first place, to make everything way more secured and protected. One of the very important things that we have is called Message Guard, and I really wanted to draw your attention to it. One of the first things, it prevents harmful messages from being sent. Even if your chatters or anyone tries to harm you without using restricted words, the forbidden words, it will still detect harmful message and block it. So yeah, this is a thing, a very important thing that we actually wanted to put one of the first things, right? And imagine you can access it even from your phone. When you have a team, when you want to control your team, when you want to feel like everything is protected, you can literally take a look even without being in front of your computer. And that is kind of game changer. Not only see what's going on from your phone, but see all the actual logs, what's happening real time. So if someone in your team tries to do damage to you, you'll see that. You'll know who and when and what they tried to do. So very important topic, security. This is one of the first things that was in mind when we designed all that, and I want to tell you about that in the first place. Not only all the attempts to harm you, but actual, real, all the messages. All the messages that all your chatters send, you can see them all in all the conversations, even from your phone. That's kind of game changer. So, back to the question. OnlyFans for sale? How does that reshape the market? Maybe OnlyMonster for sale? That is a joke. That is not for real. And I hope in a month, no, it will not happen. Okay, I think here we need to think what's actually happening to the market. And this is the part that Daniel will tell us a little bit more about.
Yeah, actually, I just realized, Steven, you look like Al Pacino from Scarface.
It's not an accent, man.
Looking good.
Thanks.
So the main question, like we were asking ourselves 3 years ago when we were starting OnlyMonster, whether OnlyFans will last long, because we all understand at some point OnlyFans will not be the top one, right? It's still a monopoly, it still makes money, but time changes. And as you can see, we made a quick research. It was actually a few months ago. And we see how market changed. So we have 2023, when the whole market, I'm talking about like creator economy market, meaning like OnlyFans and alternative platforms, which are Fansly, FanView, Loyal Fans, and other, was estimated around $6 billion. 2024, 8 billion. So market grows, but the share of OnlyFans remains kind of the same and even a little bit lighter than it was in comparison to 2023. Because look, we have like alternative platforms for around like 400 mils, 2024 already like almost 2 billion, right? So it's a huge gap and some people making money on it. 2025 we have around 10.5 billions, but we are already 2026 and we know that it was like 11 billions. So what we have here is that OnlyFans share is around like 70% and it's downgrading, and we have alternative platforms coming and people are starting making money from it. So I see you making pictures. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say, that people are trying to diversify. So if you have your setup in a correct way, you have creators, you have traffic, you have sales team, why not other platforms? Like what stops you? That was the thought we had in mind back in 2024 and 2025 when we actually made the first integration additional like of alternative platform. It was Fansly. And actually, Steven, I'm just curious, I'm interested because yeah, I see your smile here. So in my understanding, because I'm not the guy who was like managing an agency, I'm not the guy who was like working with creators. Like in my understanding, if you have a working like business model that you can expand respectively in an easy way, why not to do so?
So the problem comes from the diversification of the creator's assets, right?
Yeah.
So The multiple platform product, but right, there's two parts to this. The customer trusts the platform, right? So let's look at the Fansly logo, right? The Fansly logo is exactly the same colours as the OF logo. That's not an accident, right? They were the biggest platform because they took the exact colour scheming. Everything's the same, basically. The actual interface is the same. If you look at all of those sites are designed on the baseline site, which is OF. Now, I've got internal stats on this because I'm a statistician by trade, right? I don't look like a statistician, but I definitely have a math degree. I've got two of them, right? And so we collect tons of data, and 86% of our link clicks are to OF links directly. And even if we put more than one link on the tree, right? We put an OF link first and a Fansly link said, the stats don't change. We put the OF link third and the Fansly link first, they still click on OF. The reason they do this is because it is the monopoly position. That does not mean that you won't make money on the other sites, right? But the other sites need to diversify is the problem. So Fansly, for example, we don't market Fansly ever, right? I tell creators not to market it specifically, right? Mm-hmm. Because Fansly, first of all, if you're an agency or a creator, right? Fansly pay for traffic to go to the site. They buy traffic and they have an algorithm. It's just post content there and take the traffic for free, right? So each of these positions they have a place, but diversifying is, whilst good, it is not always the right thing to do unless you have a valid content strategy to deliver across the platforms.
And sales process. But yes. Actually you raised the point I was trying to just give you all an understanding about. So the main difference of alternative platforms in comparison to OnlyFans is that other platforms are trying to be top one, right? So they are trying to do something OnlyFans simply doesn't care about. I'm talking about internal traffic. So these guys are trying to attract new business, which all of you are, like agencies, creators, by giving you something that you spend most of amount of money for, traffic. True?
Yeah. Indeed. Yeah. It's true, yeah. And regarding money, there are some numbers that I also want to tell you about. 50,000 are the users that are currently registered on OnlyMonster. 2,000 are the number of agencies that are using OnlyMonster on a daily basis. And $10 million is what we invested so far into building all this. So when it comes to different platforms, internal traffic, diversifying, earning from a variety of different platforms, we know what we're talking about. And why am I saying that so confidently? Well, there are many people, many creators, many agencies using a CRM, right? But some of them do way better than others. So what's the real growth driver here? What makes the difference? I have some specific answers to this question. And I don't think that I'm gonna list them all right now because we have probably 11 minutes remaining here. Still, there are some very powerful features that allow you to see things that OnlyFans doesn't show you. It gives you more convenience, it gives you more money, it gives you the ease that you spend not 5 hours, but 1 hour doing the same thing. And you earn 2-3 times more with all the features we have. I just want to underline a few specific examples over here. Very particular, very practical. You see if some of your fans spend a lot of money somewhere. Not even with you, not even on your profiles. You see that they spend a lot. They spend frequently with other creators, with other agencies. You'll know that. You know that this is worth spending your time talking to these fans, building long-term communication with these fans because they spend, and you can see that. And the same applies to refunds. If some of your fans request refunds somewhere, you'll know. And you see among all this money that they spend, what's the percentage of the money that they charged back? So that allows you to avoid, and in Spanish they call it tarjetero, the carder, so to say. Those who always spend money and then immediately charge back everything. So you can avoid those. And we literally show you that information. How? Big data. This big data it cannot be overestimated, right? Big data makes huge difference. When you know what's actually happening, when you have so many users, when you have so many fans subscribe, dozens of millions of fans subscribed to all the creators and agencies working with OnlyMonster, you can see from open data sources incredible amount of information that is valuable. And with OnlyMonster, you can see that. And we're getting to the topic of traffic here. So Daniel.
Yeah, I will need Steven here a lot. And actually, as a funny fact, could you please move to the next slide? The thing that we are going to discuss is actually back and forth to the point of multi-platform, bot, etc., etc. So we have like Fansly, FanView. We all know that OnlyFans doesn't provide accurate data, right? So we all know that it's kind of fake. You don't know, like each of you don't know how much money you pay for real traffic. And the funny fact from our side that we have a few like members of our team sitting here, like tech lead and product manager, and just look at this guy. It's like the guy responsible for traffic metrics. He is bald, like just.
He lost all his hair doing that.
Just save man a tear, you know, like a bit of his emotions, etc. But I'm just joking. Like a big kudos to team because it was a huge job to do, and I would like honorably say that at the current point of CRMs or like platforms development, we have the most accurate data that we can provide to you. Because if we talk about paid and organic, and Steven will help me here, it's always a question. So we see that there is a big distinguishment in terms of how different agencies work. So someone rely completely on paid channels, and we have like in comparison, we have guys who are just like managing 2 or 3 creators, making like some 6 figures out of nowhere, growing Instagram, Twitter organically, and having something like 300 subs per day. To me, it sounds like a magic. It sounds like something you cannot afford. So what do you think about it?
So, I mean, right, I've done both. I don't really trust paid traffic. I don't trust anybody that sells it, quite frankly. That guy's clapping about it, so I'm right. Right. But like, I don't really trust paid traffic. Right? I've been in the business of organic traffic since I started. So when I started the whole business, right, it's like I was doing math for the government. I was doing stats, right? And it's like, how do we do big data for people? How do we do big data for the populace? Blah blah blah. And then I realised that social media is exactly the same thing, except with hot chicks instead of like old dudes. So I was like, right, okay, let's have a look at that. And I started working out that content it's a mathematical science. So I think that organic traffic is overpowered, but it is about how you do it, right? So in the landscape we're in now, there's 2 factors to organic traffic. It's understanding audience requirement, desire, and then it's understanding compliant behavior. So the more you behave on platform, which is the specialism we now have, the more you behave on the socials positions, the more they push. So, and all of them are different, right? IG is different to Facebook, even though they're the same company, they have different TOS. TikTok is wildly different to the others. They're all doing something different. Understanding all of their terms and using like tools like the ones that we've developed and stuff in the agency to do that is the first step. But then having good creative and understanding how the audience responds is the second part. So like for each creator that I work with, I design specific creative and then we test that against the audience. And I say that this phrase is like becoming like big on IG now is about how willing or how far you're willing to go in the direction the audience is pushing you. Right? Mm-hmm. Because creators come in, right? I was telling this girl and she was like, oh man, but my brand is this. And I was like, bro, you've got less followers than I do, and you've got like 1,000 followers, right? You don't have a brand, right? And she's like, no, my brand is this. I was like, nah, your brand is whatever the dudes on the internet want it to be if you want to make money. So there's this like mismatch in the creator economy where a lot of creators are coming in and they think, oh man, I can decide. But the reality is the audience decides. And that's what these guys are pulling off. So these guys that are pulling off huge numbers fast, they figure out what the audience wants and then they get more of it, but it takes time. A lot of these guys that come in, right, and they make like 300 bands, it's luck. Because I've done it. Like, I've done it. Most creators on like the numbers you were showing earlier, the economy's different. Most creators cap out now at like 40, 50K a month. No one really makes 100, 200, 300K anymore. Those guys don't exist.
Well,
They don't.
I
They
saw
do.
them. I saw them, you know.
Yeah. But it's like they are few and far between. And if you're really making that kind of money, you're definitely buying the traffic, but it's not clean traffic. That's why I don't like traffic. I don't like buying
It's
traffic.
important to
Yeah.
distinguish between good traffic and bad traffic. I
Yes.
completely agree on that for sure. And there are actually tools that help you see what's going on with your traffic. We made 2 major upgrades recently. Not bringing a lot of attention here, but now you can see time ranged, not only totals for all previous years, but each tracking link you can see data for a specific week, specific day. You can compare, helps you make decisions based on solid data. And each link also gives you an idea whom you got from this link. Specifically, what fans you received from each link and their spending behavior in levels from 1 to 5. You got a lot of high spenders, you got a lot of low spenders, you know that even before they spend with you. Quite amazing. And just quickly, because we have minutes left, and I also hope that we have time for a few questions from the audience. Daniel, you would like to tell us about the new statistics?
Yeah, I did, but just come back for a sec regarding I want you to tell people about rolling and double attribution stuff.
This is very important. Hopefully we could spend more time explaining that rolling attribution now takes into account only the first link that was clicked initially without regards on what other links fan clicked. So the money he spent doesn't duplicate, doesn't triplicate. With rolling attribution, you can see the actual money that fan spent with you, no matter how many tracking links he clicked. This is a technical aspect. We can talk about that later, but this is a very important upgrade that was very significant.
Yeah, so just in simple words for people who are working with OnlyFans, agencies and creators, especially creators. So how do you actually understand how much money you're paying for traffic for one guy? Let's imagine some John came from Instagram afterwards, from Twitter, etc., and you're paying money for every channel. It shouldn't be like that because it's not a correct calculation. So it's all about this, how you save your money and how you reinvest it in a better way. Talking about analytics. So we have our new vision, I would say like that. It's called Accounts Overview. So despite obvious understanding what is going on with additional platforms, we do believe that showing metrics is the most important part if you want to grow. So basically, if you want to start with something, you need to understand where you're at this point. So our accounts overview consists of currently both OnlyFans metrics and Fansly metrics. We are planning to add a few more for FanView if you're interested. I'm not sure, but maybe. And actually, it combined with both. We have accounts overview more in table way. And if we go forward, looking at new dashboard and leaderboard, we show you the whole visual infographics in terms of what is going on in your agency at this current point. So we're talking about the real flow of fans, how much and how many of them actually spenders, how many transactions, so you can calculate additional metrics like average revenue per fan or per new fan. It's also important in terms of traffic. Global ranking. I'm not sure regarding team, how do you feel about global ranking?
Today I spoke to an agency who told me over the last couple of weeks we grew from top 45 to top 25. How do we get to the top 10?
It's actually a good question. And answer here, we cannot disclose, unfortunately, the numbers, but
we don't know. Actually,
we don't know.
ourselves.
Yeah, but we.
No, the answer's make more money. That's the answer.
That's the answer.
It's not hard.
What's your ranking?
Steven, no, we're not doing that.
I don't know.
I'm not getting mugged over here.
But I guess we're talking about 7 figures, even more. Yeah.
That's right. There are quite a lot of updates that we did recently. Let me quickly show you API. This is what we built already. You can extract your own data to anywhere you want. Telegram bot, Discord bot, notifications popping up everywhere. You can connect external chat bot, and we can also talk about that later on.
This is actually so sick. I'm building an actual app for the App Store with this.
Nice.
I'm going to launch an Apple app for my agency with that API. That's how cool it is. It bangs.
It's for content, right?
Yeah, it's for everything. We're doing it for everything. The whole agency model is going to be built with that API on the App Store.
API is an amazing thing, and we built a mimic chatbot, the thing that allows you to chat, and you can connect through API other chatbots. It does the communication for you, the pre-warm-up. It doesn't sell, but it actually does the pre-warm-up communication. Insane thing, very nice. I mean, I have to tell you that we are out of time, so things that are coming soon, chat space, you're gonna love it. XGen, that's Twitter traffic. And let's talk about that after this presentation. If someone has questions, I believe we should actually ask them in person because, yeah, we have 5 minutes. 5 minutes, okay. Very nice, okay.
Oh, my guy.
There is Steven, who actually runs a very big agency, and maybe someone wants to ask him about his experience or some technical things that we built for you. All the questions are very welcome.
So my question is for you, how do you think AI development will change the way you use your dashboard and data labeling so that you can tell the agencies how they can maximize their money?
Absolutely. AI is currently growing so fast, and among 45 features we have, there are already 9 AI features. So there are features that can read conversation and give you a psychological portrait of a fan, so your chatters know what to talk about. There are AI suggestions that generate messages based on previous conversation. There are AI features that protect you. There are AI features that make it easier, make more convenient, and we see the growth of AI features every day. It's not about like what happened during last month, it's what happened during the last 72 hours in the AI world, and we have to take that into account. So all these new things coming up, we do our best to bring them to creators and agencies so they can benefit from it.
But it's actually a good question. So answering specifically, if I understood you correctly, you're talking about bringing some AI assistant to dashboard, right? But for us, it means that we will need to set up some benchmarks for people, because usually we have like a pool of requests coming, like, guys, tell us what is like average number of this and that, etc., etc. It means that we should regulate on our own some points. Like, for example, you have big agency like Steven, and you have like a few guys making some good money, but it's a completely different level of operation.
So I've actually built this.
Yeah.
This exists, right? The thing you're asking about exists. Like, my team built it, but we built it specifically for our own metrics. So we have specific growth requirements, we have specific traffic requirements, and every creator is measured individually. So it's called Clio. We talk to Clio, we tell her what we want her to do, and then she takes the data and tells us what we're looking for, basically. But yeah, my company has it. But
so yeah, I guess it's the main point, and actually it's the best way it could be, because usually, like, when you talk about sales teams, and you know, people are asking regarding like how, like, we have chatter metrics, like some metrics for people in terms of sales. And if you compare them with like one agency to another one, it's a completely wrong thing to do, because you have your own competition. So the thing you need to do is to take your top performance and compare it like to low performance.
Yeah, I don't compare myself to any other agency. I only compare myself to yesterday, what I did yesterday and the week before. I don't care about any other agency because I don't have their creators, I don't have their clients, I don't have their traffic. It's not fuck them in a bad way, but it's like at the same time, I don't have their clients, I don't have their chatters, I don't have their subs, so none of it is relevant. Because like the amount of subs that exist in the market, right? It is so statistically unlikely that you're going to subscribe to one of my creators and you're going to subscribe to this. It's so statistically unlikely, right? Unless we force it to happen, which I have done. So I'll cross-collaborate my own creators, right? And force the subs to coalesce on accounts because I know I can take money from them everywhere, right? But for that to happen organically is so statistically unlikely that I don't care about what other agencies are doing because I don't have their customers. I have the customers I have acquired, and I'm just measuring that instead. To focus outside is pointless.
But do you think it will be the best approach for us? Like, our vision, just answering like in a nutshell, is to give a flexible solution, open one, that you can do everything on your own. So if you have an option to connect, let's say, any kind of AI assistant to your dashboard, it will work for you because it's your ecosystem.
I think if you if you start letting any clown build whatever they want with Claude, it's going to go wrong for someone. But if you invest actual money into your products, it will go well. That's my honest answer.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
It's some kind of bittersweet, you know?
Yeah. Like, people are going to build cool stuff. People are also going to build garbage. That is what's happening now. It's people are building garbage pieces of material. They're building garbage software. They're building garbage stuff. You're trying to build good stuff. Like, we've built bad stuff though, I'm not gonna lie. I had to build bad stuff to make good stuff eventually. Like, my compliance machinery, it took us like 2 years to build. Like, but now we know what's compliant everywhere, like on our products. So it's like, okay, right, cool. But it took me 2 years to get it right. It was getting it wrong a lot before. You know? So yeah, people are going to make a shit ton of mistakes.
Yeah, indeed.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you, guys.